If you're driving in Australia or even just planning to start, you're going to want to stick around for this because today we're talking about a major game-changing rule coming from the Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development, Communications, Sport and the Arts. Yes, the big one that will significantly change the way Australians drive, and it's all set to start rolling out from 2026. This is one of those changes that might seem subtle at first glance, but if you travel on rural roads, regional highways, or even just unsealed roads outside the cities, it's going to directly impact your day-to-day driving experience. So in this video, we're going to break it all down. What exactly is changing? Why the government is making these changes? How it will affect drivers across the country? And most importantly, what you need to do to prepare right now. So if you've got your license or if you drive regularly, grab a coffee, sit back, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because you won't want to miss this, and let's get right into it. So, what exactly is the rule change? Let's start there because understanding the details is crucial. The department has released a regulatory impact analysis proposing a reduction in the default speed limit on roads outside built-up areas, which means rural, remote, and less populated areas of Australia, all under the national road rules. Currently, on many of these roads, the default speed limit, meaning the speed limit where no signage exists, is 100 kilometers per hour, according to the Australian road rules. That's the speed that most drivers assume is safe if there are no other indicators. But the new proposal is set to lower that default speed limit on these roads, and it also introduces for the first time a specific default speed limit for unsealed roads, which currently do not have a defined national limit. So, what this means in practical terms is that drivers traveling through rural and remote areas will likely see lower default speed limits than they're used to, particularly on roads that are unsealed, narrower, or otherwise more hazardous. This isn't just about putting a number on the map. It's about matching the speed limit to the reality of the road conditions, which brings us to why the government is implementing these changes in the first place. The reasoning behind this move is grounded firmly in safety data. Traveling at 100 kilometers per hour on remote or unsealed roads significantly increases the risk of serious crashes, mainly because these roads are often narrower, poorly maintained, lack posted speed signage, and generally provide less room for error. In fact, the department's statistics reveal that the risk of being killed on a regional or remote road is roughly 11 times higher than on a major city road. That's not a small number. It's a stark reminder of just how much more dangerous driving in rural areas can be. The change is part of a broader national road safety action plan, which aims to create a consistent model framework for speed limits that states and territories can adopt, making limits more predictable and safer across the country. In essence, this is a purely safety-driven decision. Lower speeds on high-risk roads mean fewer accidents, fewer serious injuries, and ultimately fewer fatalities. It's a proactive step to align road usage with the real risks drivers face outside urban environments, where emergency response times can be longer and the roads themselves are less forgiving. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so what does 2026 really mean? Is it a hard deadline or more of a guideline? That's a very good question. As of late 2025, the proposal is still in the consultation stage, which means the department is seeking feedback from the public and stakeholders through their Have Your Say portal. What this practically means is that the model change to the Australian road rules is being developed now, and then it will be up to each state and territory to adopt these changes into their own road laws. That process takes time, so while 2026 is the expected starting point, exact implementation may vary from one jurisdiction to another. Some states might start enforcing the new limits earlier, while others may roll them out later. So, for drivers, it's best to view 2026 as the year when this becomes widespread. But stay alert for announcements from your local road authority for the precise dates and signage changes in your area. So, how will this affect you as a driver? This is the part everyone really wants to know. If you regularly drive on rural or unsealed roads, you're going to notice that the posted or default speed limits might now be lower than the familiar 100 kilometers per hour in areas where there previously was no signage. That could mean slightly longer travel times, which is worth planning for if you have regular commutes or regional trips. Unsealed roads will have a specifically defined default limit, which is something drivers aren't used to seeing on these roads today, and it will require a conscious adjustment to driving habits. On the upside, because this change is being applied nationally, crossing state or territory borders should become a lot more consistent, which is great news for those who do long drives or regional road trips. However, it also means states may increase enforcement measures, including more speed cameras, updated signage, and more police patrols in areas affected by the new limits, making it even more important to adhere to the posted limits to avoid fines or penalties. For drivers who work, travel, or regularly visit remote areas, this is a change that demands attention and a proactive approach to road safety. Of course, no change is without debate, and this one is no exception. On the positive side, lowering the default speed limit should directly contribute to improved safety and a reduction in deaths on high-risk rural and remote roads. It also creates national consistency, which helps drivers who frequently cross state lines to know what to expect, reducing confusion and uncertainty. Additionally, it encourages state and territory governments to reform road laws in a way that reflects the actual conditions of their roads, especially unsealed or narrower routes. On the other hand, some drivers may feel that their travel times will increase, particularly on longer regional journeys. There may also be an element of surprise or frustration with increased enforcement, especially for drivers who aren't yet aware of the new limits. Some regional communities might feel that the changes are punitive, as they rely heavily on these roads for daily travel, work, and essential services. And furthermore, because implementation will vary from state to state, there may initially be some confusion as different regions adopt different effective dates or signage rollouts, which drivers will need to navigate carefully. So, what should you do right now to prepare for these changes? First, stay informed. Regularly check your state or territory road transport authority's website for updates, changes to signage, and announcements about new default limits. Second, be extra alert when driving on remote or unsealed roads. Even if a road looks familiar, new speed limits might be introduced, and it's important to pay attention to signage you may not have noticed before. Third, adjust your travel expectations. Allow a little extra time for trips that might now be subject to lower speed limits. Fourth, always respect the signage. While default limits might change, the posted limit always takes precedence, so following those signs is critical. And finally, if you live in a rural area or regularly use these roads and have concerns or feedback, consider participating in the department's consultation process. The portal is open until late October 2025, and your input could help shape how these changes are implemented in your region, ensuring that local voices are heard in this national policy shift. To wrap things up, these changes represent a significant step in Australia's ongoing effort to improve road safety, particularly on roads that pose higher risks due to their location or condition. The Department of Infrastructure's move to lower default speed limits on rural and unsealed roads underscores the seriousness with which road safety is being approached in regional and remote settings. For drivers, this is a reminder that road laws evolve over time, and staying ahead of these changes is the best way to stay safe, avoid fines, and be prepared for what's coming. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos covering other important transport and regulation changes. And if you have questions or you live in a regional area and want to discuss how these new speed limits might play out in your state, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, experiences, and questions. Thanks so much for watching. Drive safely, and I'll see you in the next one.